Have you ever wondered which words your cat is actually understanding when you talk to them? Most people assume cats only listen for the rustle of a treat bag or the click of a can lid, but research says that's seriously underestimating them. A widely discussed set of studies coming out of Japan, including work connected to Sophia University, showed that cats don't just react to random sounds, they can learn specific words you repeat in everyday life, and they respond in ways that are a lot more intentional than most owners realize. And here's the uncomfortable part: one of the most common words we all use, and often use incorrectly, can quietly erode your cat's trust over time without you noticing it happening. So let's start with the very first word most cats learn from humans. One, they know their own name. You've probably experienced it. Your cat's name leaves your mouth. They flick an ear, look right at you, maybe even do that slow blink, and then calmly walk away like you never spoke. It feels like they ignored you, so you assume they didn't understand. But they did. They absolutely understood. In 2019, researcher Atsuko Sato and her team at Sophia University in Japan published findings that challenged the old "cats don't understand language" idea. In tests with many cats, they found cats could reliably tell their own name apart from other words, even from words that were similar in sound. That means your cat isn't guessing, they're distinguishing. So why the cold shoulder? Because cats aren't built like dogs. Dogs have a long history of being selected for responsiveness and compliance. Cats weren't shaped to automatically obey, they were shaped to be independent problem solvers. When your cat hears their name, they don't switch into command mode. They evaluate. They decide if responding benefits them based on what usually happens after that sound. If their name tends to predict something they like, food, play, attention, a sunny lap, they'll appear more often. If it tends to predict being picked up when they don't want it, being chased away from something, getting a bath, or seeing the carrier come out, they may choose to pretend the sound didn't exist. That's the key detail most people miss. Your cat knows what you said, and then your cat votes on whether you're worth the effort. And if they can recognize their own name that clearly, what other words have they been quietly learning while you thought they were just being cats? Stick with me, because the final word on this list can completely change how you interpret your cat's behavior. 2. They understand what no signals. You've seen this too. Your cat is mid-mischief, on the counter, clawing the sofa, or lining up that dramatic paw swing to knock something off the table, and you say no, and they pause. Sometimes they even stop. So it must mean they understand the rule, right? Yes, but not in the moral rule following way people imagine. Cats do learn what no means through repetition, but they learn it as a signal tied to your tone, your volume, and the emotion attached to it. The word itself matters less than the sharpness. A sudden, tense, loud, or angry no becomes a negative marker in their brain. That sound predicts stress, conflict, or something unpleasant. They stop because they want to avoid discomfort, not because they've accepted the household laws. And this is exactly where owners accidentally damage trust. If no is used constantly, if it's yelled, if it's repeated again and again, or if it comes out in unpredictable moments, your cat doesn't become better behaved. They become more wary. They start associating you with tension. Over time, that can show up as subtle changes that people misread. The cat hides more, startles more, flinches when hands move quickly, avoids being approached, or stops coming when called. Not because they got stubborn, and not because they forgot you. They learned that you are sometimes the source of unpleasant emotional energy. The owners who get the best behavior outcomes do something different. They use no, rarely, briefly, and calmly. A single firm sound without drama, and then they immediately redirect the cat to an acceptable alternative: a scratch post, a toy, a perch, a different surfacey. That's how you set boundaries without turning yourself into a stress trigger. And if this is making you rethink how you speak around your cat, hit like and subscribe, because most cat owners genuinely have no idea what their cats are absorbing from daily interactions. 3. They know what treat means. If there's one word that can summon a cat like magic, it's treat. You could whisper it from across the house, and somehow your cat is already there, staring up at you like they've been on standby for hours. It feels almost supernatural, but it's actually straightforward learning. Cats are masters of association, and the mechanism is classical conditioning. The same basic process famous scientist Ivan Pavlov described over a century ago when dogs started salivating at a bell after repeated pairing of bell-tla food. When a consistent sound reliably predicts a reward, the brain builds a fast connection. Sound equals outcome. No reasoning required. It becomes reflexive. And most owners don't realize they trained this on accident. You never sat down to teach vocabulary. You simply said the word before giving the treat enough times that your cat's brain did what it does best: pattern locking. Because in a cat's world, food is a powerful motivator, so the learning happens quickly. And it doesn't stop at the word itself. Many cats start responding to the micro sounds around the routine: the crinkle of the bag, the clink of a container, a cabinet hinge, the specific drawer you open, even your footsteps heading toward the kitchen at the usual hour. They're not just reacting, they're predicting. Your cat has essentially built a whole chain of cues that all lead to the same reward moment, and treat is simply the most obvious part of the chain. 4. They can recognize your other cat's name. If you have multiple cats, you may have noticed this strange moment. Say one cat's name and the other cat reacts, looks toward the named cat, glances to the hallway, or swivels their ears as if they're tracking a person in a conversation. It's tempting to call it coincidence, but research suggests it's not. In 2022, a team led by Sophia Takagi at Kyoto University in Japan reported evidence that cats living with other cats learn and recognize their housemates' names, linking the sound to the individual, not just a noise, but a specific identity. One way they demonstrated this was by pairing a spoken name with visual information and observing expectation violations. When the wrong cat appeared after the name, the cats tended to stare longer, a common behavioral sign that something doesn't match what the animal predicted. In plain terms, the cat heard the name, anticipated a particular individual, and noticed when reality didn't line up. Think about what that implies about life inside your home. Your cat is building a mental directory of who belongs to which name, who usually shows up after which sound, and what patterns happen when certain individuals are involved. Nobody sits cats down and explains family members. They infer it simply by watching, listening, and living in the same space. So when you call one cat and the other one perks up, it isn't random. The second cat understood exactly who the message was about and just decided to be curious. 5. They learn what "come here" means, and this one matters the most. Have you ever said, "Come here," from across the room, and your cat actually walked toward you, and you laughed like you just got lucky? That might not have been luck at all. Cats aren't born understanding that phrase, but over time, in hundreds of small repeated moments, they connect that sound with what tends to follow. You say it, and then you pet them. You say it, and they get a warm lap. You say it, and they're lifted up gently and carried somewhere safe. You say it, and they end up near you while everything feels calm. Your cat learns it the same way they learn everything, not from formal training, but from consistent outcomes. And this is why "come here" is different from the other words on the list. Treat is mostly about food. No is mostly about avoiding something unpleasant. But "come here" is about the history between you and your cat. When your cat hears that phrase and chooses to approach, they aren't obeying the way a dog might. They're communicating something bigger: that your past interactions after those words have been safe, rewarding, and predictable enough that they're willing to close the distance. It's a trust-based decision, not a submission-based one. And once you understand that, you stop asking, "Why doesn't my cat listen?" and start asking the more powerful question: what have my words taught my cat to expect from me?